Hey there. I still did it the wrong time.
It's just that's the funniest time. That's okay. Keep going.
Okay. Hey there, I'm Nour.
And I'm eating popcorn.
And this is BOGO. I'm just going to read her part. The podcast with 2 rotating segments for the price of 1.
That's right. Every week you get an episode of Chapter Chit Chat, our cozy, unfiltered book talk where we read excerpts and spiral into deep discussion.
You'll also get an episode of Almost Experts, which we're doing today. This is the part of the show where we react to your wild stories, spicy dilemmas, and existential meltdowns.
And respond with our most sincere, absolutely unqualified opinions. Think of us as your internet sisters, part
Gen Z.
part millennial.
Sorry. All opinions.
Lots of popcorn. Whether you're here for an opinion or you're just here to feel better about your own situation,
You're in the right place.
let's get into it. Okay. Whew. This is an episode with stories from the subreddit Am I the A? And these are all family-related stories. So think about complex families, sticky situations, unnecessary entanglements, and we'll get into it. The first one is called Am I the A? For telling my family that my sister strongly implied that she doesn't want me at her wedding, causing most of them to RSVP no. My sister and I have always had a complex relationship and are very different from one another, but I do love her and only want her to be happy. She got engaged a few months ago, and at the beginning of last month, she called me and told me that they're going to have a wedding in Alberta, since his whole family is there. Then she said that she wants me there, but would totally understand if I didn't come, since I don't fly. And it's a 3 to 4 day drive. At that moment, I didn't realize she was telling me not to come. So I told her I wouldn't miss it for the world, that I would drive with our cousin and make a road trip out of it.
Oh.
Last Thursday, I got my invitation, and when I called to RSVP, I asked about the dress code, since my dad told me that she emailed him about a certain color suit and tie so they could coordinate the pictures. She told me that I didn't have to worry about that it's nothing personal, but because I have stretched ears, piercings, and a tattoo on my hand, I don't fit the aesthetic they're going for. So if I come, we'll take pictures with just us, but I won't be in the pictures. I don't cry often, but that made me cry, and I told her that if she doesn't want me there, I won't go. She didn't say anything, and we hung up. On Friday, I had lunch with my grandparents and uncle and told them about it. My grandmother got so upset that she started crying and told me that if I'm not welcome, neither are they. My aunt and her husband and all my cousins RSVP'd no as well, and my brother and parents are thinking about not going as well. Although it means the world that they love me so much, I feel awful, like I've ruined my sister's wedding, that I should have kept my mouth shut. Tell me, am I the a-hole?
No. There is one a-hole here, and she's wearing white. She will be wearing white. I feel like first of all, your family, when there's a big event or something meaningful like this, like a wedding, you put your differences aside and you why would you not want your sister there?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Or in the pictures.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to regret that. It doesn't matter what aesthetic you're going for. It's kind of pathetic that you'd put aesthetic over your actual family.
Yeah. But just like from the beginning, her setting the stage for her sister to not come by saying, oh, it's a far road trip.
Mm-hmm.
And then her sister being so sweet and saying, we'll make a fun road trip out of it and come, I feel like she's being a mean girl.
Yeah. A lot of people agree with us. Someone commented, your sister cares more about appearances than family. And wow, this is actually the best family dynamic I've ever seen on the sub, because usually it would go, so my family told me to remove my piercings or else I couldn't come, and supported the bride. But you have a family who stood up for you in their own way, and that's something to be proud of. Other people are like, what is wrong with all these brides being focused on a effing aesthetic and not spending the day with family and friends and focusing on that? This is the 4th or 5th post like this that I've read this week, and it's only Monday. That's really sad.
I feel like we are really losing the plot when it comes to events like these. Like, what is a wedding? It is a union between 2 people where you invite your loved ones to watch and cheer for you.
And just to witness it. It could be the simplest day, but really it's about commemorating the decision to commit. Actively pursuing that together, and then having your loved ones around to witness it and or sharing it if they're not there in person. So there is one comment that says that she is the A. So they say they need more information and ask, why exactly is your relationship strained? You keep glossing over why exactly you don't get along. The cues, parents and family immediately dropping out after your story without fact-checking, her hatred about how she seemed to need to earn her love while you were just a troubled child and were still loved. To me, this seems like you were the favorite golden child and she was sidelined because she was just well-behaved and you were the problem child. You know your relationship is strained, yet the fact that you aren't welcome at her wedding is somehow surprising. Also, nothing she said has seemed like she is excluding you from the party. You aren't part of the wedding party, so your dress theme literally does not matter. Like, she's not a bridesmaid. She didn't even say you wouldn't take photos with her, just that you aren't in the wedding party photo, which is reasonable since by your admission, you have a strained relationship. Finally, you knew that telling your grandparents would make everyone not attend, yet despite loving her and wanting the best for her, you decided to still tell your grandparents that you decided not to attend because you felt you weren't invited, which made them not attend, thereby ruining her wedding. Everything you've said just made you sound like a manipulative, overdramatic a-hole. Edit. Everything you've done just continues to show you are manipulative, and the refusal to even talk about why your relationship is strained shows that you know you don't deserve to be included, yet you still cried to your grandma. And then there's several other comments that also say that the OP is the A. Most people do not, but there are a few call-outs like that, which is a very interesting perspective.
I feel like that commenter did kind of jump to assumptions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and even if growing up their relationship was estranged, and even if it is OP's fault, this ties back to what I was saying earlier. When there is a big event where family is meant to show up for each other, you put your differences aside for the sake of that event and having a good time and being with those you care and love.
OP is a guy.
Huh?
Yep.
Oh.
The comment thread continues and clarifies that the OP said alcohol would be an issue and later commented that it was an addiction during his teenage years. He refused to see that his addiction has had an effect on her. He was an addict and his sister, the bride, was likely sidelined to him because his parents needed to help him. I'm not here to debate who is the one at fault, but his refusal to see the harm his addiction caused her is frankly selfish. He didn't mention why his sister felt he was the favorite and that she had to earn love, and then later talked about addiction on a different comment to a different person. He didn't talk about the addiction first. He talked about how she felt first and then talked about the addiction. When I asked why the relationship is strained, he decided to instead focus on my feelings are hurt because I wasn't invited. Everything OP has said makes me feel that he might be incredibly self-centered and is trying to paint the picture of only himself as the victim when she does have every right to not include him in the wedding. His addiction ruined their relationship, and instead of accepting that she doesn't want a relationship with him, keep in mind she didn't stop him from coming to the wedding, just the certain party pictures. He decides to double down and ruin the only day that is about her. What? Oh my god. Top 1% commenter said, you also can't participate in the wedding party duties because you live a multi-day drive away. Her not making you part of the wedding party therefore makes perfect sense. I'm starting to agree that you might just be the A and you went crying to your grandma on purpose to get them all to say they won't go. Oh no.
I'm glad you're coughing because I coughed too without.
Oh, the kernel came out.
Mine is still lodged in there.
I don't think it's the situation to pick sides over.
No.
Because, yes, she said, I understand if you can't make it. Also, they have a strained relationship. So she's extending the invite, but saying, like, listen, I don't have expectations around this. I'm not going to pressure you to come, especially because we don't have the greatest relationship. And you're so far away and you don't fly. Okay.
But I feel like that kind of.
But, like, it's her wedding day. And if she doesn't, is she obligated to make up with him before then?
No, not makeup. But to me, if someone were to call me and say, hey, I'm inviting you to my wedding, but I understand that it's far for you and I understand that you might not be able to make it work. That kind of...
It'll, what is it? Like, discourage you.
Yes. And if we have an estranged relationship, that makes it even worse. So I feel like just extending the invite and leaving it at that would have been better.
Honestly, At the end of the day, the only big issue was you're not part of the wedding party, so you won't be in the wedding party photos. It's not that you won't be in the family photos, and it's not like that I won't take photos with you. You're just not in the wedding party photos. And now,
But because of an aesthetic,
maybe that's a cop-out, though.
that's what I'm saying. I don't think that's right.
No, I'm not saying the bride is right, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think OP should have gone crying to their grandparents about it.
Yeah,
I think, like, that's
on that.
so dramatic and so, like... No, you're entitled to your feelings. You can cry. But I just think, like, knowing how your family will react and then not arguing, like, no, you guys should go and I'll go, but I'll accept it or whatever. Or I won't go, but I still want you to support her. OP did not, like, actually wish the best for his sister. Like he says. I just feel a little bit gaslit. Like, I'm not sure if I can trust OP's words. That's the other thing.
No, I agree.
Based on the comments.
Yeah, but based off of what we know and the facts that we know. Because we can't really psychoanalyze.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why I'm like, this is a sticky situation.
Yeah. I feel like they both made wrong decisions.
Mm-hmm.
That one was kind of complex to navigate.
Mm-hmm.
So up next, we have maybe an even more complex one. This is another Am I the A-hole? On Reddit. It goes, am I the a-hole for buying my homeless brother a one-way ticket to Florida instead of taking him into my home, Chicago area? It was my full intention to get rid of him. This post is a product of years of family drama that basically all center around my brother. He was raised as the true golden child of the family, much to the detriment of my sister. We are a very upper middle class family, and my brother was the center of the wrong crowd, and his life is an absolute shambles. He is 24 now, and if I had to guess, my parents have spent $500,000 on various colleges, rehab programs, and facilities, actors' workshops, investment schemes, and so on and on. It could be a little less, it could be a lot more. The heartbreak of seeing my brother fail time after time had to be a major factor in my dad having a heart attack and dying at 63 4 years ago. My brother showed back up in Chicago area last summer with a sob story about why he failed out of the last rehab my mom had paid for. But this time he claimed he was voluntarily homeless. My mom couldn't handle this, so without checking with me or my sister, Mom concocted this plan that the three of our households would take turns hosting my brother, so he wouldn't have to be on the streets. My mom's new boyfriend, who is a decent guy, can't stand my brother and probably put his foot down to taking brother on full-time. So when I was told about this, and when my turn came around, and I told my brother in no uncertain terms that he could stay, but he had to come to work at my company. I had to be with him at all times, and he had to pay his room and board through helping me with fixing up our house. He wanted no part of that and has chosen to be homeless during every 2-week period that he was supposed to come stay with me. Choosing to be homeless?
When somebody offers you like a one-stop path to like accountability, responsibility, having a job, some stability, that's a really big, like, nice open door for him to take, and he closed it on himself. Sorry.
I have not seen him since, and since I know my mom and sister have not put a hard line on him, I know he is still using. Well, as the national news will tell you, we are in a massive deep freeze, and of course this coincides with my 2 weeks to keep him. He showed up at my house on Friday night when we started hearing just how cold it was supposed to get. I told him that he had 4 choices. He could avail himself of the services that the city was putting together and remain homeless. He could go back with my mom or sister. He could take me up on my offer to work and help around the house. Or I would buy him a bus ticket to Florida to get out of the cold. Well, I don't think he caught the meaning of a one-way bus ticket. What I know he thought was happening is that I was giving him a ticket to go party on the beach until the cold passed, and then I would provide for him to come home. When I dropped him off at the bus station earlier in the week, he point blank asked me, when and how will you send the return ticket? I told him there was no return ticket, take what I was giving him, or stay in the cold. He proceeded then to unleash an angry, curse-filled rant accusing me of every family sin under the sun until I kicked him out of my car. I know he got on the bus. Beyond that, I have no idea what happened to him, and I care even less. Edit, he absolutely knew I was giving him a one-way ticket. Sorry for the confusion. He just thought it was an open-ended party in Florida, and I would be sending him a return ticket when he was ready to come home. There was no illusion or subterfuge on my part about the ticket. My mom is outraged at me. My mom is outraged at me to the point where she is talking about suing me for great bodily harm, whatever that's supposed to mean, cutting me out of her will and estate, and even telling my wife she'll introduce her to divorce attorneys. What does that have to do with anything?
Mom's the A.
Mother is giving red flags.
Sound the alarm.
Yeah.
Do we have a bell? I know. Mom, get some help, girl. You codependent on the wrong child.
Wow. Oh my god!
Yay. We now have a bell. Thank you, cameraman.
That's a really nice bell.
I told you I got it at like a vintage store.
Love was an A.
Okay, so it continues. From the point of view of my mom, I am not only an a-hole, but I apparently have put my brother's life in danger. From me and my sister's viewpoint, I've washed our hands of a very long-standing problem, at least for a little while. Am I the a-hole? There's one thing I want to address really quickly. People are saying you are the A because I blame my dad's heart attack on my brother. Surely you can say that my dad may have had a heart attack sooner or later, but he died at 63 years old, which is relatively young. Other men on his side of the family have lived well into their 80s and 90s. My dad's dad is still alive as an example, and my two great-grandfathers lived to 98 and 102 respectively as another example. There is no doubt in my mind that the stress of having to deal with my brother absolutely contributed to his poor health. I am no doctor, but the links between stress and heart trouble are pretty well established, and it got so bad at the end that my dad's own cardiologist was advising him that he needed to let my brother go or it would kill him. My dad died after a series of small heart attacks, and the big one that occurred after he went to somewhere in New Mexico and rescued my brother, who was prostituting himself for meth and heroin, all while my parents were sending him something like $3,500 a month for living expenses to get himself back on track. To me, the link is so absolute that I feel 100% justified in blaming my brother for my dad's health. You can judge me all you want, but the pictures of how my dad changed from a robust man in his late 30s when my brother was born to a broken shell by the time he died would maybe change your judgment.
I mean, if the cardiologist himself is telling the dad that he needs to let it go, I feel like that's evident enough.
The thing is, some people called out like, oh, a one-way ticket is a really crappy move, but he offered 4 different options. You can use city resources if you choose to stay homeless. You can go back to mom or sis and see if they'll take you in for these 2 weeks. You can stay with me, but you just have to work for those 2 weeks and help around the house. Like, just be a little bit, like, live more normally in the home. Or go to Florida so you don't freeze to death on the street. And these are all preventative ways to keep him out of harm, essentially. Because the alternative would have been for every 2 weeks that he was assigned to go to the brother, the OP, he spent them outside. So OP is like, in the interest of keeping you safe, here are your options. I don't think OP's the A.
I don't either. But I do think it is a little bit sneaky.
Like to not have made it clear.
Yeah, to not have made it clear. And then he also says at the beginning, it was my full intention to get rid of him.
Yeah. That's a good call out.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm with that. But from the beginning, or actually go ahead, you tell me what you think. Okay. But from the beginning, for the mom to kind of volunteer all of her kids into taking in the brother was kind of, that doesn't sit right with me. I feel like it's not their responsibilities to house him, especially after he's been given multiple opportunities to get his life back on track. And it just seems like he's actively choosing not to. So, yeah.
I was scrolling through the comments earlier too, and some of them are saying, like the overwhelming majority says OP is not the A. Even if he was the A in some regard about certain things overall, not the A. But it ranges from people saying you have every right to cut him off because he's harmful towards you and your family. Other people are saying you are the A, but it sounds like your brother has some issues that he really needs help sorting out. Their family has paid for different forms of support, right? Rehab,
100,000
other facilities, right? Not that I really have that much belief or trust in the system, but is there a different way to get him committed to having resources available? I don't know. It's like how he is an adult, and if you've done everything to help him and he's still not acquiescing to like getting better, like at what point do you like drop that and let him just figure it out on his own?
I feel I could maybe even say that it's at this point a necessity to do so, because maybe throughout this whole time he's always felt like he's had a comfortable cushion to lean on. But if pulling all of these resources away from him and genuinely leaving him to his own vices, maybe it's a good time to do so. Maybe because I feel like sometimes we do need that tough love. And if it means leaving him on his own to where he's forced to figure it out,
Yeah.
I think that could, I don't know, maybe.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Someone else, though, said everyone sucks here, which I'm learning is another acronym. ESH, everyone sucks here. Your mom blames everyone but your brother for his own problems. You stuck him on a bus to go be homeless in Florida of all places, Florida, for someone with drug problems.
Oh,
your brother won't grow
true.
up. This whole situation sucks. If he can't finish a rehab, he'll OD on a beach in a week. And then someone responded, though, OP didn't actually stick him on a bus. The brother chose that out of the 4 options.
But why give that option?
And then someone else said he didn't understand, and when he did, the brother changed his mind. OP forced him to stick with it.
Yeah, I disagree with giving that option in the first place. Especially with the intentions that OP revealed they had behind it.
Yeah.
I think they were just fed up, which I can understand, but that doesn't excuse it.
Someone said no one stuck a grown adult on a bus. The individual in question decided to go on the bus instead of A, apologizing and getting a job, B, making a long-term plan with resources and support, 3, C, sucking it up and finding a room, D, I can't do the alphabet, I'm sorry, 4, helping out around the house like a 5-year-old, 5, I almost said 6, 5, going back to mommy like a child, and 6, accepting responsibility and the kindness of the city, and the many who have written checks to the Red Cross from all over the country. Apparently, this idiot chose a party city because he was too much of a pussy to face his shame and responsibility. People who take their siblings' money to go OD in Florida are not victims. Where was OP supposed to send him? Seattle? LA? San Antonio? Where is this temperate, drug-free, cheap hotel paradise you imagine the guy preferring to reside in? The entire Midwest is a deep freezer. There's nowhere else available. I don't think you're the A, not even in the butt cheek. Not even a butt cheek in this situation.
What would you have done if you're the sibling?
If I was OP?
Yeah.
If it were me and I don't have siblings, it's really difficult. I almost feel like I'm not good at tough love, so I probably would take them in, but have so many ground rules that they'd have red tape everywhere and they wouldn't be able to continue to, like, I wouldn't enable the behavior either way. Like, if you're going to, I guess it's the same take. Like, if you're going to be in my house, I'm not going to enable this and we're going to fix it in these ways. If they refuse it, then that's their choice. I probably would have gone about it the same way, just without the Florida option. Like, to be completely honest. And then to also loop in, I would want, like, if I had a sister who was alongside me and my mother, I would ask both of them to hold the same line. So they don't have any options. It's not, oh, well, if you don't take me in, I'm going to go back to mom's where she's not going to make me work or be responsible or accountable for my own life or take care of myself. So I think it's really hard. Yeah. What about you?
Maybe I'm too deep down the tough love avenue, but I would have rejected him staying at my house because one, you've already been given multiple chances. You've the parents have clearly gone above and beyond. The father passed away because of how much stress he was under.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could let that go and continue to make space for his behavior. Yeah. Especially as we've said, he's a grown adult. I think at that point it's on you to figure out your own life, and I would not want to be a part in it anymore. Considering how many chances he's been given.
Yeah. I mean, I think sometimes a clean break is the best option for everyone.
Yeah.
Somebody commented like, well, he's hit rock bottom. How else can you have to help him? He's hit rock bottom. But I don't think somebody who has safety nets in place, who still feels like they can turn to their family and abuse their family for resources, hasn't hit rock bottom.
Right. And it doesn't seem like if I were in this situation, it doesn't seem like the mom would really cooperate with me on not giving him, on that. So I would just be forced to take myself out of the equation by just withdrawing. Because it's honestly painful. Like, it's painful seeing your sibling that you love constantly put themselves through drug abuse over and over again and harming the rest of the family. Yeah. And I don't think I could handle it emotionally. Yeah. Is that avoidant of me?
No, I think it's responsible and for yourself too. I'm not saying that at the first sign of discomfort or problem, everyone should just cut people off as soon as there's an issue. No, I'm not saying that, but I am saying what you're saying. This has gone on for so long. They've enabled his behavior. Who knows if you'd have gone cold turkey on him earlier, would things have changed? We can't really ask the what if questions now, but I think you make a really valid point in he needs to learn for himself. There's no more hand holding. There's no more codependency. There's no more, it's okay, somebody will come through for me.
Especially after death has been involved at this point.
Yeah. I don't think OP can be held responsible for what his brother decided out of those options. And he very well could have said as the fourth option instead of Florida, I'll give you X amount of money for a one-way ticket to wherever you want. He was still looking for he was still looking for a place that's warm. He was doing this because of the deep freeze, because all the states were going to be cold. Chicago, he would have frozen to death. So he was here, one-way bus to Florida because it's warm there. There's still an element of safety or something.
You're a good problem solver. Mashallah.
I don't know about that. I didn't even offer a solution, but I think we have to pause to change batteries. Okay. Our next story is, am I the A for refusing to pay for my daughter's wedding because she won't let me walk her down the aisle? Alrighty, I'm a 48-year-old man, and my 19-year-old daughter has always been an independent thinker. Sorry, it's a weird word. Okay. I raised her to be an independent woman and think for herself, which I've always appreciated. However, we recently hit a bit of a snag. She got engaged and decided that she doesn't want me to walk her down the aisle at her wedding. She argues that her mother and I don't own her, therefore we have no right to give her away. I feel hurt by this because we've never treated her like an object or a piece of property. Rather, we've tried our best to provide her with a wonderful life. Her stance seems extreme to me, and despite discussions, she's refusing to budge on the issue. I respect her choices, but I feel like she's disregarding our feelings completely. As a response, I told her that if she feels that way, then I won't be paying for her wedding. I don't want to come across as controlling or manipulative. It's true, I don't own her, but I also don't owe her a fully funded wedding. She can pay for her own wedding if she's insistent on this stance. I'm feeling quite conflicted about this. Am I the A? Edit. So, This isn't about making the wedding about me. Walking her down the aisle while all eyes are on her anyways, and then sitting down is hardly making the wedding about me. It's about her attitude. She's had every opportunity in life so far, and to exclude us from this day in this way is a spit in the face. It's a rejection of how everything we've done for her, sacrificed for her, and given her is selfish. End quote. 90% of wedding traditions and symbolisms have roots in things that we don't acknowledge today. Should we stop all of them? The rings, the flowers, the dress, the wedding party, the cake, the flower girls. A father walking his daughter down the aisle has been about respect, pride, love, and honoring the father-daughter relationship for her far longer than it was about ownership. Independent thinking does not mean rude or selfish thinking. Being an independent thinker does not give someone the license to disregard or disrespect the thoughts, feelings, or perspectives of others. Independent thinking is about maintaining the ability to think critically and form one's own opinions while remaining respectful and considerate of others. It's a balance between asserting individuality and engaging in meaningful and respectful interactions with others. Also note that our relationship is not so weak that this disagreement will ruin our relationship. We are still close with each other despite this. There is zero chance of her not inviting us to her wedding, regardless of who pays for it, or cutting off contact, or withholding any future grandchildren. I feel sorry for anyone who suggests that as a possibility. Likewise, there is zero chance of us refusing to go to the wedding or cutting her out of the will. In life, people disagree, even strongly. It's a natural part of life. We don't end lifelong relationships over it.
So Dark Yoda 182 says, you heard her. She's independent. Independent people deal with their own bills. I feel like that just fully encompassed what I want to say. Thank you, Dark Yoda 182.
So, okay, let me get this straight. She said, I don't want you to walk me down the aisle. I just don't want that in the wedding. And as a response, the dad says that I'm not paying for your wedding. Okay, hold on. I think maybe that's the A. Hold on. Okay. Let me think about this. My initial response is his reaction in that way is not wise. I think it's very tantrum me. Like, it's one thing to be like, hey, this really hurts my feelings. If you don't want me involved in this capacity, like I was looking forward to walking down the aisle, whatever, what have you. I wouldn't miss it for the world. I'll still attend. But like, as a result, I don't know if I can, like, it just feels transactional at that point. I'm funding your wedding, so you better let me walk you down the aisle. I'm like, whoa, that part just reads weird to me. But I agree that if you think you're independent, you should also be able to just, like, if you want your dream day, you make it happen. No one else is really responsible to throw your wedding for you.
I don't know. I'm kind of with him with the whole not funding it, because, I mean, did she take that consideration of sitting down with him and saying, hey, Dad, I don't like where this tradition stems from and what it implies. Can we find something else to do? Instead of just being like, I don't want you to walk me down the aisle. You know?
Right. Yeah, definitely. I just think it's weird. Like, did he promise? So why I'm confused is, did he promise he was going to pay for the wedding? Is that why he then pulled it out? Do you know what I mean? Or is it more just like, hey, you're 19, you're really young. Maybe you can have a smaller scale wedding, or if you have specifics on how you want your wedding to be, this is what I can provide. I'll give you the same amount that I give to anyone else that, like, let's say she has siblings. I'll give all of you the same amount as a gift, and you guys do with that what you will. Versus, I'm just not, I don't know. What's the deal between them? Like, did he agree to fund it?
I think even if he did agree to fund it, then I think it's fine for him to withdraw because she doesn't want him to walk with her. I feel like it's so... Okay, number one, everyone is going to be asking, why didn't you walk her down the aisle? Number two, it's your father. He wants to walk down with you. Like,
yeah, it's really meaningful.
It's so hurtful. I would be so hurt if my child didn't want me to walk with them. I mean, basically, he says 90% of wedding traditions and symbolism had roots in things that we don't acknowledge today. I agree with that. I think today, the way that it's viewed as is a father is walking with his daughter one last time until she is a married woman and he's no longer really responsible for her. Wait, I'm kind of thinking of Islam.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Islam. Okay, if these were Muslims, I'd be like, your dad has to be your wali. But our traditions, they're not archaic. They're today still.
Yeah.
And then these symbols or traditions were when women were treated like actual property. In our case, that's not the case still. So like there's still a delineation to make. And at one point in time, a woman was worth nothing except the man's name behind her, right? So I get this independent thinking. She doesn't want her dad to walk her down because of that symbolism. Sure. Is there a way to include her father in the ceremony? Maybe that there is no walking down the aisle, but there's just something else. It's hard. The nice thing though is OP does says he approves of like her fiance. So like it's not some huge catastrophe. It's just this situation. There's a comment I wanted to read aloud. It says, I can understand why your feelings are hurt. However, were you planning on paying for the wedding as a gift to your child to celebrate their marriage, or because you would get to symbolically give her away to a spouse? Were you only going to fund the wedding because you own your child? Therefore, if you don't own your child, you don't owe anything for a wedding? Per your attempt at throwing in your child's face their stated reason for not wanting to be given away, your child isn't saying that you treated her like property, but she probably sees the symbolism and where this tradition stems from and doesn't want to participate or reiterate it. Try to respect your child's independent thinking and point of view, and don't expect them to always compromise their principles because of your feelings or stance. It would be fine to talk to them and share how you feel and then see where it goes, but taking your feelings as a reason to not support them, period, could make you the A. That said, I don't think people should expect that weddings are paid for by their parents, but if it was a reasonable expectation because, say, you funded a sibling's wedding, then it would not be fair for the gift to be contingent upon one thing that is clearly important to your independent thinker. Maybe you can talk about other ways you can be involved in the wedding, especially as the tradition doesn't seem to be that important to your child. Always choose listening and talking it out over threats and ultimatums, and it doesn't count as talking it out if the parties are only talking to convince rather than listening and trying to understand the other's point of view. There's still some more work to be done, and y'all can definitely resolve this. If your independent thinker was raised to be an independent thinker, I'm going to assume she's also an open-minded person who will be willing to hear how you feel and to meet you somewhere in the middle. I'm not saying you have to expect compromise, but I think your feelings do matter, though. Like, your parents' feelings matter. I'm not saying they have to approve of everything you do in life, but marriage, in my opinion, is a union of families. And like your dad has told me before and advised, it's always good for the families to always be on good terms on each side so that in the future things are, relatively peaceful and or people get along. So
I want to ask, how big of a thing is it, and I'm assuming this is American culture, how big of a thing is it to walk your daughter down the aisle?
It's not like giving her away in the sense of like you own her, but it's just like, that's your baby. Like moms cry at people's weddings, right? Or at their own weddings, and they're like, oh, my child is grown up. It's really symbolic of just like, they're not going to be with you all the time anymore. I don't know, but I'm not rooted in that side of American culture, so it's a little bit difficult.
I think because of how culturally impactful that moment is, regardless of the origin, I don't think it's wrong of him to pull away financially.
Yeah, someone said, did the daughter even express feeling entitled to having her dad pay? Nowhere in the post does he say that she asked for it or insisted even. So people are making leaps to vilify her for a super reasonable boundary for her own wedding. We don't know anything she said about the money. All we know is she said that being given away is archaic in her perspective and patriarchal, and he immediately called her selfish for that. However, there is a lot of public symbolism when a father walks his daughter down the aisle and literally hands her over to the groom. In my mind, this is as much about setting a good footing for a future relationship with your husband as it is about respecting your relationship with your father. Dad will always be there for you, and he's indicated that in his edits. There is an update. For all the YTA, you the A people out there, I've decided to give my daughter a gift in the same amount as her older sister's wedding cost. She can use this for however or whatever she wants. For the not the A people out there, thanks, most of you get it. My daughter has also agreed to figure out a way to include us in a way that doesn't involve giving her away. We are still in the early wedding planning stages, and she's almost 20, so she will likely be 21 before the actual wedding. Thanks for the concern, I guess. I approve of the groom-to-be if that matters to anyone, and we disagree, but that doesn't mean the relationship is over. It's not a relationship-ending event. My daughter is laughing hilariously at all of you that are saying that she will disinvite us from the wedding or cut us off from the grandkids. I just feel sorry for you all. That is petty, manipulative, and regardless of what you say, I've raised her to be better than that. We pulled through.
It's very sweet. Yeah.
Okay, sorry for the abrupt end, but we need to charge batteries, charge our batteries, fill some stomachs. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you. Bye. That was so awesome. Thanks, queens. Oh, bye, BOGO beans.
Bye, BOGO beans.
Why is that?
Ew. Did you lick
No.
it?
You want some
Makeup brush?
You want some